Miss Kaoli Koyasu from Japan Maharawa Support Group. It is a resurrection of justice. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I am very glad to be here in the company of my friends. Some came from Japan, and some came from the other countries, and from New York as well. I've been living in New York for a long time, and I have been loving the city since I came here. So let me talk a bit of my personal life. Let me talk a bit of my personal memories. I remember 2 days after I came to New York, I took a walk over miles to Battery Park in order to recover from jet lag. I had a heavy jet lag. When I came to the southern end of the park, I noticed a blurry blue shadow emerging over the JTC waves. It took me a while to recognize the Statue of Liberty, which was so familiar on pictures or TV since I was a girl. I realized that I was really in New York, not now. And that was a bit funny feeling, but also exciting. The Statue of Liberty was established in 1886. This year is 2016, so she has been standing there and watching over the city for 130 years. As everyone knows, the goddess is holding the torchlight with her right arm and tabula ansata of the American Declaration of Independence with her left arm. But do you know how it looks at her feet? However, surprisingly, it is not well known there is a broken chain at the goddess' feet. I learned that the broken chain expresses freedom to all the people who are to be freed from the binds of injustice. To me, America has been a country of freedom, liberty, and justice. Those words are proudly claimed in the preamble of the Constitution of the United States, such as establish justice or blessing liberty. I have been greatly respecting the commitment to freedom and justice that were the idea forming the founding of the country of the United States of America. Japan and the US have a history of fighting each other during the war. War is always painful and merciless. My grandparents and parents lived in years of war, but they rarely talked about it. I felt the US-Japan war was something that happened in the distant past. But even someone like me, this picture of war was so graphic and shocking. So, it was okay. I was a high school student by myself. The caption of this picture said, this was in Okinawa in 1945, and the Japanese man was shot to death by American soldier. His little child was left alone. As you see, he was bearing no weapons. So he was obviously a civilian. No matter it was in wartime, How dare American soldiers kill an unarmed civilian with a little child? I thought it was no wonder the people in Okinawa felt antipathy against the US Army base if they witnessed such cruel scenes. This image was printed at the back of my mind. Many years later, I saw this picture again. It was in the book from Historical Archive. The caption of this book said, "In Saipan Island in 1945, the man refused to surrender, pursued by the US soldiers, and he was shot to death just as he was about to throw his child into the sea." This had happened not in Okinawa, but in Saipan of Japanese positions. The man was driven into a corner and attempted suicide with his child. The American soldier shot him so as to save the little child. I would blame the father. He fell in the desperate situation and thought all was over. It was impossible for him to leave his little child alone to the enemies. It is so sad and painful, but that's the war. But another thing, now I know what the American soldier did was either not evil or not wrong. He had a reason to save the child. The unknown American soldier, probably he's no longer alive, after many years, he got back justice in my mind. So today, we Japanese are confronted with the comfort woman issue here in the US. In the first place, this is the matter between Japan and Korea. But unfortunately, the US has been involved in it by allowing the erection of comfort woman statues over monuments in the country. Not a few American people believe that the abduction or coercion of Korean women and sex slavery organized by Japanese authority as true without question. I asked them what were the reason to believe, and they say, because former comfort women say so. If the victim says so, it must be true. I would want to ask you, is this justice? I don't have much to say about the comfort woman issue, because the speakers before me already displayed enough evidences and facts which demonstrate that the comfort women were not sex slaves. I would ask you to think about a few things now I'm going to say. You don't need a scholarly knowledge, but just use your common sense. 1. Despite 200,000 women in the Korean peninsula were allegedly abducted or coerced to be sex slaves working in Japanese military comfort stations, there were no single document supporting that claim found among 140 pages of IWG report of the US research team. So, 200,000 women victims, 140,000 documents, and no single proof. It was not the incidents in the ancient time, it was in 20th century. Do you think it is really possible? Think with your common sense. 2. The statements of former comfort women have never been done with cross-examination. Do you think is it the correct method to judge and evaluate the factual recognitions? 3. Despite the period of Japanese rule of Taiwan, which is much longer than Japanese rule of Korea, the comfort woman issue was never raised between Japan and Taiwan. How come? If there is even one aspect you think doesn't make sense, then please be open to listen to our claims. Listen to the Japanese side as much as you did to the other side. We are always open to talk to those who will seek the truth of history, my friend. The torchlight, the Statue of Liberty holds is to the wise to illuminate the vision to see the truth. Try to get the bigger picture. To obtain true justice and freedom, we must know the truth. The answer can be found in the mind of each of you. So people are celebrating Easter this weekend. Easter is the day Jesus Christ resurrected. Like the resurrection of Christ, like the resurrection of Justice, the American soldier in Saipan Island in 1945, I wish for the resurrection of truth, the resurrection of truth of history, the resurrection of spirit of the goddess of liberty, and the resurrection of the commitment in this United States of America, which people cherish, the demand true justice and freedom for all. Thank you very much for listening.